Let's add up some pizza slices. We got a couple here of mushroom. We got 3 here of black olive. The other, well, they mysteriously disappeared. Anyway, if we want to add these all up, how many do we have? Well, it's easy, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 slices out of the original 8. Mathematically, we can see that as follows. 2/8 right here plus 3/8 here gives us 5/8. So adding seems to be pretty easy too. And you were worried, huh? Let's look at another example. How many shaded sections are there in this picture? Well, there's 1 gray section plus 3 green ones, and then we have another 4 red ones for a total sum of 8 shaded areas for this rectangle that's divided into 12 equal parts. So mathematically we have the following. We have 1/12 plus 3/12 plus 4/12 gives us a total of 8/12, which of course can be reduced to 2/3. So to answer the question, 2/3 of the rectangle is shaded. Now I want you to be aware how easy it was to actually add these fractions up. It was just a 12 and then 3/12 and 4/12. Notice they all have a common denominator. Yeah. So I can actually rewrite this with just 1/12 on the bottom, and they're all my numerators. Add this all up and we eventually get the answer of 2/3. So that's going to be our strategy. We can get these fractions to have the very same denominator. It is so easy to add these up. If you're not completely convinced how easy it is to really add fractions, here's another example. I want to add all these up. Find the sum. Well, notice they all have a common denominator of 11. So I'm going to write that down over here, 11. Now I'm just going to write these all over again. 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4. If we add all those up, we're going to get 10/11ths. Super easy. We just saw a few examples where adding fractions with the exact same denominator was very straightforward. Now the question comes up, what if we have different denominators? How do we add a half pizza with 1/3 of a pizza right here? What is the answer going to be? Well, with multiplication, all I did was just multiply the numerators, then multiply the denominators, I got an answer. Maybe we can do that with this. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 plus 3 is 5. Is that the answer? Question mark? That really the case? Well, right here is another pizza with 2/5 in it right there. And well, that is not the same amount of pizza as this. So just adding them up is not going to help. Well, what was the deal beforehand? Well, the denominators were the same. So we can somehow make these denominators equal, then we should be able to add them up. Oh, and how do we do that? Well, for that we need to get the LCD, the lowest common denominator. Let's do that next. To find the LCD between these two fractions, well, we normally do factor trees, but 2 and 3 are already prime. So just multiply them together. So my LCD is 6. So that's my target. I want to make the denominators to be 6. So let's change both of these into a higher form. A half is really 2 times something. And again, our goal is to get 6 down here. So 2 times something down here below is going to be 2 times 3. And what you do in the bottom, you got to do the top. So that's going to be 3 also. So I get 3/6. For the 1/3, we do something very similar. Times something. Again, our target is to get 6. So 3 times what is 6? Well, 2. And then you put it on top. So we're going to get 2. So I can now add these up because they have the same denominator. So let's do that. We have 3, 6 plus 2, 6 equals, I have a common denominator of 6. So then I write down 3 plus 2. Add those up, I get 5, 6. So that is my answer to our original problem. Well, you know, this was a lot of work. Oh, just look at that. Ugh, just to add these two fractions, you're already getting scared, I bet. Well, don't worry, there's actually a much slicker technique, but I want to go through the details at first. So now let's learn a better way of doing this. Addition of proper and improper fractions. Find the LCD. Rewrite our sum with blank fractions of the form parentheses divided by parentheses, either just before or just after each fraction that needs to be changed to a higher form. Multiply the numerators and the denominators by what is needed to get the LCD. Place these numbers inside the blank spots. Rewrite the addition as a sum of numerators with a single denominator, which is the LCD. Add up our numerators. Reduce the fraction to lowest terms if possible. Okay, before you start getting nervous, this method really is the best way to add up fractions. You'll see that these steps just flow from one step to the other until you get the answer. And we'll do several examples, so I'll take care of you. Let's add these fractions, 3/8 plus 5/12. First step is to find the LCD. Let's do that over here, LCD. So if we look at the denominators, we have 8 and 12. Let's quickly do the factor trees for this. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 can be broken up as 2 times 2. 12 is 3 times 4, and 4 is 2 times 2. Now, we're going to do what I like to call the column approach of finding the LCM, which is also the LCD. So here I have 2 times 2 times 2. I start writing down the same numbers if I can't underneath each column. So there's a 2, there's another 2, and the 3 cannot be placed here, so I place it to the side. So I get 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and that gives us an answer of 24. So that is going to be my common denominator. Let's put that over here. So now the next thing to do is to write our blank parentheses. So I'm going to squeeze one in right over here, times, and let's just put one over here. It doesn't matter if you put it to the left or to the right of the fraction. Sometimes you might want to erase the equal signs and scoot it over. It doesn't matter. So now we go, what times 8 will give us 24? Well, 3. What times 12 will give us 24? 2. So now let's create our new fractions. Well, we're going to have a common denominator, so I really need to write just one of these, 24. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 times 5 is 10. This is equal to 19/24. This does not reduce, so there's our answer. Now you may have learned how to add fractions in a very different way than what I just did on the board. My way is of course better. Why? Well, when things get more complicated, and you're dealing with some kind of fancy algebra expressions, this technique of putting the parentheses side by side and working on like more of a horizontal format is very smooth, and it's almost not even thinking about it. You just, this is the way I add fractions. The other way, vertical format, it just doesn't really work so well when you have algebra. Now, of course, if your teacher says you got to do it top and bottom like that, then do it, obviously. But I really recommend learn this method I presented on the board earlier to add fractions together. Strictly speaking, when adding fractions on a calculator, you don't need to enclose them within parentheses. But since we've been doing that beforehand, please always use your parentheses. What is 3/8 plus 5/12? So what's the first step of putting this fraction in this calculator? Parentheses. So go ahead and enclose these, and now you're ready to go. Clear our screen. Let's input our first fraction and make sure it's within parentheses. So we'll just open parentheses, 3 divided by 8, close parentheses, and we're going to add it to our second fraction, parentheses, 5 divided by 12. close parentheses again, and of course, enter. Let's make this a fraction. Math, enter, enter again. There's the final answer, 19/24. Let's add up these three fractions right now. We need to find our LCD. So we need to have a 2, we need to have a 5, 6 is 2 times 3, so 2 can go here, the 3 is there. So now we create our columns like this. It's going to be 2 times 5 times 3 is 30. So 30 is going to be our LCD. Now we create our little parentheses like that. And we're going to go, what times 2 is 30? Oh, 15. What times 5 is 30? 6. And finally, what times 6 is 30? Well, no big guess there. It's 5. Now, the next thing is to create our common denominator right here. Now let's create our new numerators. We're going to have, here's going to be 15. And then 6 times 2 is 12. And then 5 times 5 is 25. If you add those up, you're going to get 52 30ths, which can be reduced. Just cut everything in half, and you're going to get 26 15ths. And we're done. A very common mistake that students make while performing additions of fractions is they try to cross cancel. They see something like this, for example, go, hey, I can cancel these 2's and zap these 5's. I'm just left with 1 6. Well, no. Cross cancellation is only done with multiplication of fractions. So if you have a multiplication like this, yes, I can cancel. And the 5's can go and multiply together, you get 1 over 6. So this is the correct answer. So don't confuse the two. There are actually 2 different procedures for adding up mixed numbers. Let's take a look at both of them. Addition of mixed numbers. Change all mixed numbers and whole numbers into improper fractions. Then add as shown previously. Change the final sum into a mixed number. First, add up all the whole parts, then add up all the fractional parts. Rewrite the sum of the fractional parts as a mixed number, if possible, then add the whole part to the other whole part to create our final mixed number. Procedure number 1 is more useful when the fractions are actually small in size, whereas procedure 2 is more useful when the quantities are actually a little bit larger. Let's add 3 1/2 and 2 2/3. We're going to use both procedures, so you see them in action. For the first one, we need to convert both of them to improper fractions. So I'm going to multiply and then add. Multiply, add. And we're going to get 6 plus 1 is 7 halves. Here we're going to get 6 and plus 2 is 8. So we're going to get 8 thirds. Now I want to add these up. So we need a common denominator. What is going to be my LCD? Well, I only have 2 and 3. They're both prime, so it's just multiply them together. 6. So 6. Let's create our parentheses. 2 times 3, and then here's going to be 2 times 3 again. For the top, we're going to get 21, and here you're going to get 16. If we add those up, we're going to get 37 6. Again, traditionally, if you start with a mixed number, you should end with a mixed number. 6 goes into 37 6 times, And we're going to have 1 left over, so that's going to be the fractional part. And there's my answer. Now let's do this with the other procedure. To use the second procedure, we need to add up our whole parts. So you're going to have 3 plus the 2. Well, what's that going to give us? We're just going to get 5. Now let's take care of the fractional parts here and here. So you're going to have 1/2 plus 2/3 equals. Well, let's throw in our blanks right here. And we know the LCD from the previous problem was just 6. So we want a common denominator of 6. 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. 3 times 2 gives us 6. So 3 times 1 is 3. And then here 2 times 2 is 4. This gives me 7/6. Now, a mixed number from this is 1 and 1/6. So I'm going to write that down. So we have 1 and 1/6 plus the 5 that we had earlier gives me the 6 and 1/6. Strictly speaking, on the calculator, you really don't need to enclose your mixed numbers within a set of parentheses. But it's still a very good habit to do so. It also makes it a little bit more clear on the display. Now, don't forget to always put a plus sign between the whole part and the fractional part when inputting mixed numbers in your calculator. Let's do an example. Add 3 1/2 and 2 2/3. Clear the screen, and let's input our two mixed numbers. Parentheses, 3 plus 1 divided by 2, close parentheses, plus, open parentheses, 2 plus 2 divided by 3, close parentheses, and enter. Oh, so let's make a note that our whole part is 6. Minus 6. Enter again. And you go math, enter, enter. Now just add the 1/6 next to the whole number. Exercise 37. What sum is represented by these shaded regions? Now I want you to write down the actual fractions you're adding together, what their sum is, the result, and reduce if possible. Well, let's see. For the first one, how many slices are there in total? Well, it looks like there's 16. So that is going to be my denominator. I have 3 in the first group, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the other one, we have the same denominator, so it's very easy to add them up. We're going to get 10 on top. This reduces to 5/8. Now for this one here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my denominator. We have 1 shaded region here, plus 1, 2, 3 in the other. This adds up to 4/6, which reduces to 2/3. We're done. For exercise 38, I'd like you to find the sum of the fractions and mixed numbers and reduce if possible. For the first one here, well, it's going to be really easy to add these up. Why? Because we already have a common denominator. It's going to be 5. And just add these numbers. 2 plus 3 plus 6 is 11. Now find this sum right here. Well, the first step is to find the LCD. So that's going to be 2 times 2, 3 is prime, 6 is 2 times 3. So using the column approach to find the LCD is going to be 2, 2, 3. Here's going to be 2 and 3. See, they're nicely lined up in columns here. 2, 2 times 3 is 12. So 12 is going to be my LCD. So let's put that over here. 12. Now the next thing you want to do is write down the blank fractions. So over here I'm going to put the blanks. I anticipated this and purposely put a little bit in there. So 4 times what is 12? 3. 3 times what is 12? 4. 6 times what is 12? 2. So now let's get our numerators. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 5 is 10. If we add those up, we're going to get 21. And we can reduce this. There's a 3 in each, so I'm going to get a final answer of 7/4. Now I'd like you to add up these two mixed numbers. Give it a try. Well, what can we do? Well, I'm just going to add up the whole parts. So 2 plus 4 is going to give me the 6. I'm going to write down the fractions down here. They don't have a common denominator, so let's get one. So I'm going to multiply this by something and this. Now they're both prime numbers, so nothing's in common, so just multiply one by the other. That's pretty easy. Put the 5's over here. So our common denominator is going to be 15. And 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 5 is 5. Put that together, you're going to get 11 15ths. And so let's put that with this guy over here. There's my final answer. Now I'd like you to find the sum of these three numbers. Well, let's just add up the whole parts together again. So you're going to get just 9. Let's add up our fractional parts. Equals what? Well, the common denominator is going to actually be just 8, because just 2 times 4 is 8. You don't have to do anything with this guy. That's pretty nice to know. So 2 and 2 right there. So we're going to get denominators of 8, and then the numerators are going to be just going to be 6 and 7. Well, that's going to give me 13 eighths, which can be changed to mixed numbers. So let's do that. So 8 and 13 is 1, and we're going to have a remainder of 5. So you're going to get that. Now let's add these two up. So 9 plus 1 and 5 eighths is 10 and 5 eighths. That's it.